Good. Well, first and foremost, excited for our crew, right? Not just our players here and coaches and sports staff. I think this is, as a home game last week, right? Like, obviously, everybody comes to see us there. I know there's a lot of people excited to watch us on Friday night. Obviously, a unique opportunity to play another Big Ten team ranked on a Friday night is an awesome opportunity for our program. Really college football, right? So really excited about that. Our guys put in a good week of work. We've been extremely fortunate to be pretty healthy. Unfortunately, yesterday, Magnus Moeller, backup offensive lineman, got rolled up. So sometimes things turn into blessings for others. We've been trying to get Des Schuster in there and moving around. So we've got him in the last 2 days, so he'll kind of replace him. But other than that, go to practiced all week. Aiden Lawfrey practiced all week. T. Strain practiced all week. So from the health standpoint, other than the freak thing with the Magnus 2 days ago, we should be pretty good. It looks like weather's clearing out of there a little bit. We practiced some wet ball work earlier in the week, but I know it's supposed to be 90 on Friday during the day, so what the temperature will be, it'll be probably similar to what we've been dealing with here. So one thing I was extremely proud of our guys last week, played our hottest game, right, and they came out of it pretty clean, didn't have any cramping health issues, so our guys have done a really good job proactively doing that stuff. So with that, open up for questions.
Matt brought up the group chat in the Big Ten that you spearhead. I don't know if that's a thing, but what can you tell us about it?
I would just say we've had group chats since I've been here, right? Like, I think that I distinctly remember when I first became a head coach, I was in the league with Joe Paterno, and he sat in a Big Ten coaches meeting and said he didn't know what a text message was, right? And I think back that to where we are now, because even now with 18 coaches, we brought four new coaches in, so you had to create a new text chain and to get everything there. I think I probably was kind of the spearhead of that, because I remember trying to get Dan's number and kind of getting some guys moving around, and then you can tell the tech-savvy people versus the not tech-savvy people. So there's not anything overly glowing. It's just, a lot of it's really just business. Hey, for me, I'm on a football oversight committee, so a lot of times I have used that just to kind of gauge where everybody's at, ask for input, because sometimes that's bigger than just our conference, right? I wouldn't say, I don't know what Matt was referencing, but there is one.
Coach Henry, what he's been through here last couple days, you could talk about him and how important he's been to you, how you guys responded to him.
Yeah, I've known Aaron since, as you guys know, he's a young man, 16 years of age, and to see the maturity and the process that he's gone through, but I think especially this year, even going into this season, right, just the difference in who he is, what he is. But I think it's always one of those reality checks, that night when he came in, the emotional turmoil he was going through and what he had to process. I told him literally the next day, you just take as much time as you need. I thought our defensive staff took over in that moment and really handled that morning as good as you could hope for. Aaron shared with me, so he's going to leave after we get back late Saturday night, late Friday night, early Saturday morning, and return back on Sunday. So I know he's processing things right now that, unfortunately I've been on the side of that as well. So I think it's a really good indicator of what our players are. I think our guys have been amped up all week for this game, but also to know that a guy they care for a lot is going through something that's pretty awesome to watch.
Coach, the noise, the crowd is obvious. What other challenges does the first road game present?
Just that, right? It's the first time we're all getting on a plane together. It's the first time we're going to be in an unfamiliar environment for when they eat their pregame meal. We have a set menu that we do, but obviously the first 3 games have been prepared by the same people, the same hands that I always get. Ashton Hollins usually does our prayer on game day, and he always thanks the hands that prepared it. Well, it's going to be a new set of hands, right? So that stuff just all adds into it, but the game of football is played between the white lines. We stress that all the time. I heard it, like even just the whole thing with Chow last week. I can't tell you how many times I heard not just him, but our players talk about practice habits become game day reality, and we do things routinely around here that I think promote and put us in a position to have success, but we'll see you on Saturday or Friday night after the game.
A new commit from a local kid, Grant Smith, comment on the Monroe Forsyth.
In recruiting, the part we can't do as coaches is a comment on anybody specifically, but I think the part that's been really fun for us during this uptick, you guys know me well enough, I'm not just downplaying, I really don't worry about where we're at, I worry about where we're going, but I am not oblivious to when we gather attention, even like this week, for me, I realize the media attention we gather because I've been around it in the past, and when I got here, it just wasn't there. So to get that, part of the reason I do that, I don't need to show this face on TV, right? The reason I do it is it promotes Illinois football, it promotes the University of Illinois, and that's really the part that's been a big uptick.
How important is Central Illinois been too, just in general for recruiting this area? Because it feels like you guys have found some.
You know, I'm sitting there today with a group of 5 scouts, and all of them were guys that were high-ranking personnel in the NFL. There was a director of college scouting, there's a director of pro scouting, there's a director of personnel, high-ranking people from the Packers, right? And Caden Fagan comes running by, and they're like, "That's a running back?" And I'm like, "Yeah, right." And I go, "See that little guy, 21, right next to him?" They probably grew up about a half hour from each other, right? Right here in Central Illinois, and I knew it when I took the job, and now some of our best players are from that, right? You see Hank Beatty, right, and what he affected the game last week. You see Mac Resetich, you see Matt Bailey. Maybe I'm expanding Central Illinois, but really what I kind of view Illinois as, I'm non-Chicago, right? Like that. I think that's the way most people in this world look at things. People from Chicago want to be from Chicago, and people that are from not Chicago don't want to be from Chicago, right? So I just couldn't be happier with for us in recruiting, it really doesn't matter. And you look at Mac and Matt Bailey, those are 2 guys that we were the only schools that gave them a scholarship, and they're 2 of our better players. Aiden, it really got down to us in Iowa, right? Caden, it was us, really, Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, everybody, but he wanted to be at Illinois. I think that's what we're getting.
You mentioned Hank, just to go with him at punt return. I mean, he had the big return. But what makes him maybe the best option?
Yeah, you know, Hank was well, you guys were in there a little bit. He was I thought going into last spring to this fall that Hank was going to be our starting punt returner, right? And then he would be the first to tell you he had some issues leading up to that first week, and I kind of made a mid-switch to Mac because he had never had any issues during that. And then we go around after 2 games, and obviously Mac put one on the ground, so that's when I went to Hank last week and said, "Hey, you're going to be our guy." And I literally thought he might take one to the house, as he almost did. Just, you know, that was a left-footed punter too, so for those that don't really understand that, left-footed punter is a completely different spin on the ball, different flight, different pattern, and Hank, now we do have Declan Dooley, who's a lefty, so that really kind of helped us get the preparation. But then I was really excited to get him involved in the offense, right? Like, Hank's just super intelligent. Obviously, what he did at Rochester, I think, has just been waiting to be done here again. So I'm excited to see him continue to grow this week.
Coach McGallmeyer in the offseason talked about being more vocal. Is that carried over? Has that happened? Is it carried over? And how much does that happen just in the game itself?
I think just Luke's confidence, right? And we always say volume reflects confidence. He talks, he speaks. You know, we have crowd noise obviously this week, and you can hear him amplifying his voice even more, but also his nonverbal, right? Like, because we're going to be playing in an environment that you necessarily won't see or hear what's being said. You're going to be able to understand what's being signaled. So I just think everything from A to Z, just his moxie, his awareness, he really reminds me when Tommy kind of took a big step, right? Like, of understanding how we want to do things. You know, I think Tommy, if we got him back for that second year, would have been one of the best in college football. And I think, you know, just the experiences that Luke went through a year ago, the growth, for me too as a head coach, like, man, I know this, right? Like, it's very important for me as a head coach to have a great relationship with all of our players, but the special relationship you have with your starting quarterback is a big deal, right? And, you know, I was very intentional from last January to where we are now about how those things happen and transpire. So it's I think it's been very positive on a lot of different levels.
Freddie, you've done this 16 years. Is there anything about the travel roster rules or anything that you like looked into, or does 74 make sense to you?
You know, 74 probably does, but, you know, some weeks we're trying to probably add a few guys. We're like, well, who should we bring, right? But then there's other weeks it's kind of a hard decision on what to go. But, like, literally, you know, Magnus unfortunately had that, but right away I just wrote down my sheet, no, it does no up, right? And sometimes it's that. I think the thing is, you know, we got a number of guys that are multi-year players that have a red shirt available for them, and I think that's naturally something that comes up. And I think, you know, I would guess in the next 2 to 3 years it's going to be universal 5 years of eligibility in college, which I just think makes too much sense, right? There's so many. The NCAA very rarely says no anymore but you have to have a medical hardship. I mean, look at Zeke, look at guys that we've had, look at Palcho, right? Like, so I just think it makes too much sense. Just give them 5. I think what they're waiting for is this whole COVID. You know, we still are working through the COVID relief, you know, guys. So I think when that passes, I would be very shocked if we don't go to 5 years of eligibility for college players.
We're going to ask you about Jake Fergie getting on the field.
Yeah.
What led to that?
Yeah, you know, Jake, I remember meeting him and talking with him on the field the first time, bringing him back, talking about what we want to do. He had some options. For me, he kind of reminds me a lot of that role I was in when I was kind of like to me, he was an undersized, under-recruited, underdeveloped player, right? And literally once he got here, our strength coach was like, Bret, we got something here, right? Like, he's super intelligent. Obviously, because of the tight end position that we've, you know, run into when Cole got hurt, and then, you know, when Goda especially, was out of it, like you were looking for bodies, and I'm just like, hey, this guy just makes too much sense. He's had a great week of practice. I'm involved in my phases that I'm involved with in the kicking game just because I know he's tough, smart, dependable. I couldn't be more excited about him. He played one game. I don't know if we'll play him all 4, but he kind of can be one of those guys as we're navigating the season, like had to use this guy 4 times and see what it's like.
Just for clarity, what's the severity of Mounus?
It's an ankle sprain. It's like on the verge of a high, so I know he can't go this week. Bless his heart, he's trying. But yeah, that's about it.
Anything else for Coach? All right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Coach.